Well, hi, thanks for joining me as we take a look at this first problem that's in our practice with Venn diagrams and probability. Let's dive in, take a look and see what we got going on here. So we have the following Venn diagram shows the events A and B where P of A, so I'm going to remember that this means probability of A. So the probability of A is 0.3. The values shown are probabilities. Okay, so for probabilities, I know that we have to have between 0 and 1. We can't have a negative probability, and we can't have a probability bigger than 1, because that would be over 100%, and we can't have more than 100% chance of things. So our probabilities are going to be between 0 and 1. Well, that fits for the 0.3, and then I look at my Venn diagram here, and I see they've plugged in some other values. 0.1, well, that's between 0 and 1, check. 0.4, that's between 0 and 1, check. All right, so let's see what we got here. Find the value of P. Okay, well, let's see. P is here, so what do I know about this section of the Venn diagram? Well, if I look at this, if I look at my circle A here, so that's my circle A. P is inside the circle A, but let's see if I get another color here. How about orange? Orange will work. Let's try orange. If I have circle B, my orange circle, notice my P is also inside circle B. So P is the one that's in both of the circles, so P represents A and B. So this is what I need to find. So the question is, how am I going to do that? Because notice the only thing that I'm given, so I need to find, let's organize this a little bit here. Part A, right? I need to find P. What I am given to work with is that the probability of A is equal to 0.3. So what do I know? Let's think about what do I know about this that is going to let me work with this. Well, probability of A is 0.3. Well, this blue circle is my A. I'm going to write 0.3 outside that blue circle because the whole blue circle, all of the probability of A has to equal to 0.3. Well, okay, if the whole circle has to be 0.3 and this piece I already know is 0.1, well, what's going to be P over here? Well, so what I know is 0.1 plus P has to equal the whole circle. So the two pieces inside the circle have to equal the whole circle. If I subtract 0.1 from both sides, I get P is equal to 0.2. Okay, so P is equal to 0.2. So for part B, let's see what we got. Find the value of Q. Okay, well, let's see. I got to find the value of Q. Now, my given, not only am I given that the probability of A is equal to 0.3, but I just found P is equal to 0.2, so I also am given that P is equal to 0.2, because I get to use part A to do part B. So now, let me think about what do I know that's going to let me figure out what Q is. All right. Well, let's see. I know A is 0.3. I know, let's see, P, I'm actually going to cross off P in there, and I'm going to put 0.2, because I already know that's 0.2. Okay. But here's the thing. I don't know anything about probability of B. They don't tell me anything about this orange circle. So now I got to think, well, what else do I know about probabilities that I can use? Well, let's see. I know what I know. I know that all the probabilities have to equal 1. So if I add up all of the probabilities, I have to get the whole thing. It has to equal 1. If I add up all the different pieces, I have to come up with the whole, and that's going to be 1. So what this tells me is that all of the pieces of my Venn diagram added together are going to have to be 1. All the probabilities have to add up to 100%. You can think of this as 100%. All of my probabilities have to add up to 100%. Because remember, the U is my universe. This is everything that we're working with. This is all of it. All of it together has to be a whole. So what this tells me is this means that all of my sections have to add up to 1. So 0.1 plus 0.2 plus Q plus, don't forget the little 0.4 hanging out here. That 0.4 is in the box, which means it's part of the universe. All of those together have to add up to 1. So let's see, I've got 3, so this is going to be 0.7 plus Q has to equal 1. Subtract 0.7 from both sides. Keep my order straight here. Okay, so this means Q has to be 0.3. Okay, so that's A and B. So now let's take a look and see what C tells us or asks us for. So for part C, let's see. Find the probability of A apostrophe, funny looking U, B. Okay, well, before I even start thinking about this, I'm going to decipher this. A naught union B. All right, so this means probability. This means not A, so this means everything that is not A. This little symbol, you remember what that little symbol means? That's the union. We usually use the word or for that. And then that, well, that's just my set B. So what I want is the probability of not A or B. Okay, so I want not A or B. All right, well, to do this, I'm going to color in this, I'm going to color in my Venn diagram a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with not A. So I want to color in all of the sections that are not in A. All right, so let's take a look. This 0.1, is that inside A? Yeah, it is. So I'm not going to color that one. How about 0.2? Is that inside A? It is. Remember, I want not A. How about Q? Oh, we can actually, let's do this. Cross out Q, put 0.3. How about Q? Is Q inside A? It is not in A. It is outside the circle. So I'm going to shade in this piece because that is not A. Now, don't forget the outside. What about the 0.4? Is the 0.4 inside circle A? It is not. So this is also not A. So all of this, going all across, all my beautiful coloring. I'm not an art person. All right. All of this is all not A. Notice I colored in everything except circle A because I want everything that is not in A. Okay, now, or, down here, or means we're going to combine things together. So all of these section count, or I could have B. All right, well, let's color everything that's B. All right. Well, let's see. Everything that's B is going to be everything that's inside the circle B. Now notice I'm coloring with lines going the same direction because for or, I could have one or the other. So now let's look at each of my sections. 0.4, is that not A? Yes, so that counts. 0.3, is that not A? Yep, it's in the not A. It's also in the B, so this one kind of counts twice. What about the 0.2? Well, 0.2 is in A, but notice it's also in B, and we said we can have not A or B. Either one of those count. So everything that's shaded in here is going to count for my or. So for ors, I shade everything, and I combine them together. So I'm going to have 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.4, which is going to give me 0.9. So the probability of not A or B is going to be 0.9. Okay? Again, that's kind of like, hey, you win the game if you're outside the circle A or inside the circle B. So everybody who is outside the circle A is a winner. Everybody who is inside circle B is the winner. So we're going to count all of those sections. And that's how I am able to add up all of these pieces and get not A or B. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. If you have questions on the other practice problems, there will be more videos for you to watch.